Hello and welcome to this edition of How Time Flies, our monthly video newsletter from the High Plains Western Heritage Center in Spearfish. I'm Brian Leslie, your host, along with the Executive Director of the High Plains, Carla Scovell. Carla, good to see you again.
Good morning, Brian.
It has been a busy month of March, but we want to begin by kind of dedicating this edition to a longtime friend of the Heritage Center who passed away here just a few weeks ago.
Yes, our employee, Bobby Sago.
And Bobby was the accessions coordinator here at the High Plains.
She was, and she was the case library, also curator there as well.
At Black Hill State University. I know she had such a love for history, and her name as a co-author is on some of these books that are here in the bookstore.
She was a prolific author, really, with Arcadia Publishing, with several local authors as well, co-authoring with Lee Stroshine, I believe is his name, for the Fort Meade book.
Yeah, so I know that you guys are going to be missing Bobby, and the community at large really will be as well, because she was a voice of history in this town.
She was very involved with the Voices of the Rose Hill, that theater group. She also had performed in Matthew's Opera House. She was more well-known than we ever could have known. She was so quiet about, and humble, I guess, about her local fame, really.
And we had another memorial service at the in the theater this last month for a longtime volunteer.
Yes, we also lost Shirley Ashley. She had been a longtime volunteer here, also, of course, had lengthy ties for generations to this area as well.
Well, let's look ahead to some upcoming events in the month of April. A lot fewer than we had in March, but you could probably say it's the calm before the storm. But High Plains Live will make its final on-stage appearance before our summer break, and we're pleased to welcome Paul Larson, who got snowed out in February.
He did. He's given us a snow check for April 22nd.
As opposed to a rain check.
Yeah.
So those tickets are $10 in advance, $12.50 at the door, and you can buy them online at highplainslive.org. You can also call the Heritage Center and get tickets here.
Right, and you can reserve them ahead. We could take your credit card over the phone.
Or you can just stop by, purchase them in person at the front desk.
Correct, yes.
And that's going to be, again, April 22nd at 2 p.m., sponsored by Black Hill Superfan and Spearfish Perkins, who is going to provide us with some pie, and we'll have door prizes and all kinds of good stuff.
Yes, we so appreciate Perkins' involvement with that program. It's really been such a blessing the past year and a half.
We really do. Well, let's talk about some other things that are going on as folks come back to the center this spring and summer. You'll notice the Rodeo Room, a few changes.
We will, especially if you come in by the end of May. You'll see a complete redoing, I guess you could say. Don Peterson, one of our volunteers, is spearheading that effort. He's working in conjunction with Sarah and Jada from Black Hill State Rodeo Club. We're really appreciative of their input as well. And so come on down and see the finished product.
I see Marie's making some signs and getting things labeled and organized quite well. Looks pretty nice.
She has done a great job with our signage in there.
Also, a couple of items of note. Some grants have been forthcoming for some projects that have started and have already begun and will start.
Yes, by the end of May also, we'll see the fruition of 3 grants that we had received. Most recently, we added blinds to our Early Pioneer Room, and that was thanks to the Spearfish Community Foundation grant. By the end of May, we'll see the new roof on the Crow Creek Schoolhouse, and that's also thanks to the Deadwood Historic Preservation. We will also see new doors throughout the building, including handicap access from the City of Spearfish additional grant for our capital improvements here.
Awesome. So lots of great stuff coming up soon. And during the month of April, we also are privileged to have in the gallery the artwork of Bonnie Halsey-Dutton.
Yes, I know. She kicked off our speaker series this year with a very interesting program of teaching, actually. She's really trying to promote her adult education program. And so, yes, her beautiful art will be in our gallery at least through April.
All right. Speaking of the speaker series, Randy Bender made a presentation the week after this past March on Fort Meade, the Peacekeeper Fort, I think. What was it? Yeah.
Yes.
And that was the book that you had referenced earlier that was co-written by Bobby Sago.
Yeah, very timely that we had Bobby here for that, and got some great pictures with her and her new book that was just off the press to her. It'll be out in print and in our bookstore by mid to late April.
Sure. Also, Charles Nicholas from the Spearfish Livestock Association gave a nice, 100-year history recap of that important organization.
The Spearfish
Spearfish Livestock
Thank you.
Association.
I always want to get that confused with the South Dakota stock growers, but yes, Charles was that event was well attended by his family. It was really great to have his mom here, 102 years old, Gladys Nicholas. She had some great stories to include in that in a little interview that you did. Will be put on our website eventually, I suppose.
Yep, we'll have that up here pretty soon. Also, Voices from Rose Hill closed out the month in our speaker series. 2 shows, actually.
They did, and both shows were really well attended. We had almost 150 between the two.
And we had the actors on stage that brought to life some of the well-known characters, I guess, maybe one way of putting it, citizens of the community of Spearfish over the last 150 years, the people that are memorialized at Rose Hill Cemetery. And that thanks to Paul Higby and others for putting that together and bringing that to us.
John Stephen Wiley and Linda Wiley and that whole entire group.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, coming up, I wanted to make folks aware that this summer we'll have something new for local citizens to take part in, and that is a Cowboy Supper Show beginning in July and August with the dynamic duo of Gordy and Dallas, and it's going to be a fun show with dinner included.
Yes, it is. It's going to be great. Gordy is now no longer the fabulous one guy. Tuesdays and Thursdays in July, and then right before the rally, the last Tuesday and Thursday, right before the rally, that will be open to the public. So you'll be able to get your tickets online. It'll be $30 for an adult, $15 for ages 6 to 12, and under 6 for free. Show only $15. And we hope that the public will support us with that new event here.
Sure.
Bring your family, bring your friends that are in from out of town.
And I know you've got a lot of buses rolling in. It'll be a record-breaking year for tourism here at the center this summer.
Oh, boy, we're just barely catching our breath when the buses will start May 7th here. And for the first time in history, we want to welcome Colette Tours. They're going to be taking advantage of our Chuck Wagon Dinner Show, or Cowboy Supper, and Spirit of the American Cowboy Musical Comedy every Wednesday between May and the end of October. So we welcome them, and we welcome back Diamond Tours, as well as the Institute for Educational Travel. They'll be back on the Road Scholars every Monday. They get to enjoy Gordy as presenting Seth Bullock and a delicious lunch from Cheyenne Crossing. So we have a lot of community players that we interact with in all these events.
Awesome stuff coming up. Speaking of Gordy and Dallas, I know they were promoted in the recent edition of Down Country Home magazine. So if you happen to see this, pick it up, and there's an article inside that talks a lot about their partnership with Dallas Sellers and meeting up with Gordy Pratt and how they put their show together. So that's kind of a fun article to read.
Yeah, they did a beautiful job with that article.
They did. Also, in the Spearfish Visitors Guide, if you're around town, pick one of these up too, and there's a nice article in here about the High Plains Heritage Center.
There is, including the dates of the Cowboy Supper.
Right. Well, starting in April this month, you probably noticed that we're sending out an newsletter as well as the one that we send out through the snail mail. And if you'd like to get on that list, if you're not already, maybe you're watching this on YouTube or someplace else, you can send us an email at info@westernheritagecenter.com, and we will be sure to put you on the e-news newsletter, and you can get How Time Flies every month, along with the other hundreds of people that get it right now.
That's right.
Awesome. All right. Well, Carla, thank you. Sounds like
Brian.
you're going to be a little bit busy here coming up.
We are. We're getting on the treadmill, and we won't look back.
All right. And we'll see you next month.
All right. Thank you.